Limar, and I work for the Oregon Employment Department, Unemployment Insurance Division. And today we will be going through the online claim system, just navigating the online claim system, the initial claims. I want to guide you through the unemployment, regular unemployment initial claim, weekly claims, and the PUA applications as well, and the restart process for regular unemployment. Let me start. Where is my control in here? Just a second. Okay, perfect. All right. So first, I'm gonna go through the objectives for today, which are navigating the online claim system, a live demonstration on the regular unemployment insurance application for initial and weekly claims, a live demonstration on how to restart a claim, and also for the pandemic unemployment assistance application, the initial and the weekly applications. And I want to provide some space for you to ask questions. When we are going through the live demonstration, I would prefer that you place your questions on the box, and then the Kelsey or Lucy can ask the questions because it probably it's easy to just interrupt me when I'm on the certain page rather than when I have gone far or further in the application. All right, so, and we're gonna go to the to file for any of our unemployment insurance programs. As I said yesterday, we're gonna go to unemployment.oregon.gov and select the online claim system option. And in here, I also, I included, as I said yesterday, these links are for the step-by-step guide on how to file the application. And you will have this for initial claims, for regular unemployment insurance, and for pandemic unemployment assistance. And for PEUC, I was not able to find the step-by-step guide, but I will reach out to our communications department and see where that one is, because it was, I remember creating it. So it must be somewhere. All right, so let's go here, and we go to the, once we are on unemployment.oregon.gov, we go to the online claim system, and we select regular claim to file for an initial claim for regular benefits. And again, as we talked yesterday, we want to file an initial claim if initial regular claim if the person doesn't already have a regular claim. If their claim expired, we want to file a new claim. And if you make the calculation and you see that they meet the monetary requirements, then we also want to file a new claim. If you are in doubt, or the person is in doubt and they don't really know if their earnings count towards the unemployment, we want to file the claim for them. So we begin the claim, and we will be first asked a series of questions. If the person, the first question would be if they have filed a claim. So if they received unemployment benefits last year, or they filed a claim last year, then the answer will be yes. Otherwise, we will say no. We will ask the claimant where they are physically located, and this is very important too. If they worked in Oregon from October 1st through September 30th. And this is, as I placed on the example yesterday, if a person is working, wanting to file a claim today, this from October 1st through September 30th, that's going to be their base year period. So within this time, we want to know if the person worked in the state of Oregon, if they worked outside of the state of Oregon, and if they performed any military service or worked as a merchant salesperson. If the person worked outside of the state of Oregon during this time, they will have to contact us to file the claim. So it's important that you advise them. They can call us in the phone numbers that are in the presentation, or they can use, and they can also use the contact us form to contact us so they can file their claim. Okay, and we're going to be asked to provide the claimant's social security number, confirm, enter PIN number, the claimant's first name, and the name that we want in these fields is the way that the name is shown in their social security card. And also, if the employer knows them by any other name, we want that information in this field. And we are gonna enter the claimant's date of birth, gender, if they are a US citizen. In this case, we're gonna say no, so you can see the field where it asks for additional information. Okay, and these fields are not required, but we do encourage you to ask this information from claimants, especially the email address, because that is an additional way that we can contact them. Oftentimes it happens that staff calls the claimant and they're not able to reach out to them at the time, and they try again. But since we have so many people to contact, it is always very good to have their email address if they have one, so we can have that other avenue to contact the claimant. And now we're going to be asked the mailing address. If they leave the second part asks for the residential address or physical address. So if they live in the same place where they have the mailing address, then we're just going to select to check this over here. But if the mailing address is a PO box, it is very important that we fill out the remainder of the information for their physical address. Okay. We want their phone number. Make sure to ask them for a phone number, a working phone number, and a good phone number that we can reach out to them. Okay, and this is going to give you the US Postal Service preferred address. We're going to click continue or make any corrections if the address is wrong. It's important that when you get that US postal address, you read it back to the claimant to make sure that it is correct. And then you will be asked if they can legally work in this country. And here it's asking for the US CIS number or the A number as it appears on the green card or the work authorization document, or also if the person only has the I-94 number, then you would enter that information in there. And these questions are not a required field, but it is very good to have this information because it helps us with other purposes that we have. And if the person requires the information or to contact them in another language that's not English, please select yes and select the language, their preferred language. Oh, I missed this. Okay. And now we're being asked what's their highest grade of school, if they are receiving retirement pay other than Social Security number. And this causes a lot of confusion in claimants. So make sure you're telling them that this, if the only thing they're getting is Social Security, it wouldn't count towards this. So this question is asking if they are receiving retirement pay, so from an employer or retirement plan. And then the next question will ask if they are a member of a closed union. So these are for people who they would answer yes if they are working for a union that doesn't allow them to look for work outside of their union hiding hole. Okay, and now we are going to enter in here the occupation the person had or the kind of work they performed. If it's production, we're going to enter that on the search bar, and we will be given a lot of options. So we will do our best to match the claimant's last occupation in the last 18 months to whatever option we have in here. And we want to know if the person is willing to accept the same type of work. And this is just intended to see if they would accept, like if they were offered a job in this same occupation, if they are willing to accept that job. And if they are not, then we need to provide an explanation as to why they don't want to work or to perform that kind of work anymore. And then now we're asked if they're willing to work full and part-time. If they prefer to work full-time, but they are willing to work part-time as well, then we will select yes. And this is not so much a matter of a preference. This is just intended to see if they are available for work and if they have that willingness to work.
Hey, Zulamar. Good morning. This is Teresa. I might have missed it, but could you provide a little guidance to folks on how to answer these questions in the context of COVID-19?
Yes. Okay. So in here, for the are you willing to work full and part-time, it means within the COVID-19, because we have our temporary rules are still in effect for COVID-19. So in this case, it would be if after the emergency declaration is over, if the person is willing to work full and part-time. And I did, we do have that actually in here. Let me show it to you, but nope, it's actually this one. Okay, so we have this document also that goes over filing the new unemployment insurance claim application during COVID-19. And this is in one of the step-by-step guides. It's going to be in your presentation. So you just have to click on it to access this document, and you can reference back to it anytime when you're filling out the application. And it will ask the same questions and will give you some more guidance on how to answer the questions in light of the current COVID-19 situation. Oh, where was my, oh, okay, here we go. All right.
Excuse me, Sulimar.
Yes.
I have a question regarding the rules. Number 3, when it says you are at the hospital or you cannot work, but you have not reject any work offer. And the next one, actually, when it says you have not reject any work offer, I just don't get it, because if there is an emergency and you are asked to stay at home, but you have not reject, so it's, can you clarify that part?
Yeah. So if the person is staying at home following a stay-at-home order, when they reject work, it means that they were offered a job and they said, no, I don't want to work. So in light of the COVID-19 or public health emergency, we do have some flexibilities on that, because if they were at home or did not accept an offer of work because they were sick, for example, with the virus, or they had symptoms, then that will not count towards having refused a job. Does that answer your question?
Actually, yes, because it's not that they don't want to, right? It's not their will to reject. It's they have to reject. There is an order. Okay.
Exactly. Yes, that's why those flexibilities are there, because we do understand the current situation. So so yeah, that's why. Yeah, and it's very good that whenever you are filling out the application for the claimant, it's good that you have open and you go back and refer back to the step-by-step guide, just so you can know how to word the question maybe a little bit different, because it will happen that they may say, like, you ask them, oh, are you available for work? And they will say no, because there's COVID and I am in a high risk population. And in that case, since we have our temporary modifications, it's not that they are not able to work under our current rules. They would be able to work. It counts as they being able to work.
Yes, and the thing is that it's kind of intimidating, because at the end, it's just like, are you saying the truth? This is something legal, right? So it's like, I kind of understood it, and I kind of told what I think it's, but okay, it clarifies. Thank you.
Yeah. And they are always, so the legal parties, and they are always, they certify that they have provided truthful information to the best of their knowledge. All right, so we have our second question, our second eligibility question is if they're willing to work during all the days and hours normal for the type of work that they were looking for. And we want them to answer yes if they were impacted by COVID-19 and are willing to work all the usual days and hours for the occupation when the emergency ends. Okay, and here it asks about their salary, what was their salary, and if it was per hour, week, or month. And if they're willing to accept the same rate of pay. If they are not, then we need to provide an explanation. And so is there a reason that you cannot begin full-time work right now? And this is one of those questions that the claimant will probably say no because of the pandemic. So they will answer no only if I'm sorry, I was sorry. Okay, so they will answer no if they are impacted by COVID-19 and can work full-time when the state emergency ends. So we will say no, that there is no reason, like if they are willing to work, to go back to work full-time when the emergency ends, then we're gonna say that there is no reason that they cannot begin full-time work right now. Did you turn down any work since the last work? This means if they have refused an offer of work since the last time they worked. And for the COVID-19, it would be like if they were sick, if they couldn't work because they were sick, or if because they were in a quarantine, they will still answer no to this question. No. Are they currently attending school? We will answer accordingly. Okay, and now they are being asked if they, since the October 1st of 2019, which is the start of their base year, and today, if they worked for more than one employer, we're gonna say, well, we're gonna say yes in here. And if they're self-employed, if they were a professional athlete, if they are currently employed, if they were unable to perform any work due to an illness or injury during the greater part of any calendar quarter. So if another way to word this question is if they were unable to perform any work due to an illness or injury for more than 6 weeks during the base year, which is going to be from October 1st and September 30th of 2020. And we will answer the rest of these questions accordingly. This will not change with COVID-19. There's no new guidance for this. So you just ask the questions as they are in here to the claimant. And we will click continue. Okay, and now we're being asked about the employer information. So We want to enter the employers, all the employers they worked for in the last 18 months. And let's say test, and they started working for this employer on June of 2019. And the last day of work, June of 2020. Okay. And let's say their total gross earnings is going to be all the money they made before any deductions. So that's the amount we want here. And this will be for the last 12 months. And it is okay to just provide an estimate of the amount. It doesn't have to be an exact amount. Okay, and this question is in regards to if they were working for the same employer, if they performed the work in another state, in Oregon and another state. And if we answer yes, then we will have to select which state they worked on. And if this is an agency of the federal government, we enter here the claimant's mailing address, the employer's mailing address. This is what we'll enter here, the employer's mailing address. Okay, if they worked, usually the employer's mailing address is going to be found in the pay stub. So it is very helpful if the claimant has a pay stub. It's very helpful to provide the address that shows in the pay stub. If they don't, then they can just provide the address where they physically work. But if they do have that address on the pay stub, we will enter that in here in the employer mailing address, and then enter the place where they physically worked in this second set of boxes. If it was the same place, then we would just mark here.
Sulimar, there is a question. Somebody wants to know if the person refuses to go to work. For example, if the person works in a restaurant, but refuses to go to work because it's he or she is afraid to get the virus. What should they do?
Okay. So job refusal, they would have to enter. So this is for an initial, are you asking for an initial claim, or are you asking for a weekly claim? Like, let's say they were already working and then they are refused. Because so the reason why I ask is because so when we're talking about that the person refused to work on a week, it's more as in a weekly basis. So we are just saying that this person quit the job, or that the person is not working, is refusing to work every week because they are afraid to contract the virus.
Claudia, would you clarify your question? Is that for the initial claim or for the weekly claim?
Well, it's my understood you need both, right? You need the initial, and then you need to file every week. But if you have the chance to work, and you don't want to, or you feel like you shouldn't, you just should stay at home and follow the rules, or I would say that the initial.
Okay, so for the initial claim, it's it all depends. So if they, I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? What was your specific question?
Let's say there is a person who works for a restaurant, right? And as weekends, we have seen restaurants are sometimes allowed to work, more actively. And then other weeks where they need to pretty much close. Or so if a person is asked to work and he or she feels like he shouldn't, and she said to his boss, no, I can't. Does he can still claiming uh, because he is refusing, right? But
Yeah.
he has
So,
a good reason.
so according to our temporary rules, the person would not be disqualified from receiving unemployment insurance benefits if they do not accept an offer of work, which in this case, like the job was available for them, but they did not accept that work because of a COVID-19 related situation. And if, which could be that the person was unable to work because they were ill, or that they have been potentially exposed to COVID-19, or because they were advised by their healthcare provider to stay at home, um, or because the employer ceased operations, um, or because they are at home taking care of a family member, or they are at home taking care of a child, or the person is being asked to work in violation of a mandatory quarantine. So the fact that they have fear to go back to work, it's not within those COVID-19 situations. So in order for that job refusal to be considered not a disqualification, they must have refused to work because of one of the COVID-19 related situations that are on the rules document. It's the first part of the document that tells what are the COVID-19 related situations.
There is a fine line, right? Okay.
Yeah, and that's why what you want to do, you don't want to really advise claimants on what to answer. So you just want to take their answer, put it into the application, because if they have to go through a review, their claim has to be reviewed. That's the job of the adjudicator. That's one of our team members to decide whether their situation, in their situation, they must be paid unemployment benefits or not.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. And in here we enter the phone number of the employer. This is the employer's phone number and the job title of the employee's job, our claimant's job title for this specific employer. And what were their duties? And their pay rate. And so in here, if the employer is still open, so if they are still working, if this person is still working, but the employer reduced the hours in here in the separation, we're gonna say that they are not separated from the employer. And in the separation, we're gonna say still working, but that the hours were cut. If the employer is still open, but they are not working because of the quarantine, because of there is a high risk of exposure, because they need to take care of a child due to childcare or school closures, because because they need to take care of a family member that have COVID-19 related symptoms, then we will also enter still working as we will still enter that they are not separated from that employer and they are still working / hours cut. Now, if the employer laid off this person or simply closed the business, then we will enter in here that yes, the person is separated from the employer and they have been laid off due to a permanent lack of work. And also if the employer told them that they needed to lay off employees, but that they would contact them back, we will select that they are not separated from the employer and that it's just a temporary unemployment situation. Okay. In this case, we're just gonna say, if that they are still unemployed. So very important. If they say that they are temporarily unemployed, in the next question is going to ask us to enter a date. I would advise not entering a date in here, even if the employer told them that they would call them again in 3 weeks because of the current COVID-19 situation. Like in normal situations, this works perfectly. But since we are still under this emergency situation, usually the employers tell the people that they can come back in 3 weeks and then they extend the time. So we are not going to enter a date in here. Okay. And this is just wanting to see if the mailing address, to provide a postal preferred mailing address. If we need to make any corrections, we click return to form to make corrections. Okay, and then this is just wanting to know if the person worked for another employer since October 1st of 2019. If they do, then you will just enter yes and fill out again the next employer's information. Otherwise, we're just going to select no and continue with the application. Okay, and this is for the authorization for tax withholding. All unemployment insurance benefits are taxable income, are considered taxable income, which means that the people have to pay taxes, federal and state taxes upon all the benefits that, all the unemployment benefits that they receive. So in here, they have to select if they want their 10% federal taxes withheld automatically and paid to the pertinent agency, and if they want their 6% of unemployment benefit automatically withheld for state income taxes. It's important that you let them decide. You read all this information, but I would also advise you not to give any tax advice. Simply explain them that the 10% is going to be taken off for federal taxes and reported to that agency. and the 6% for state taxes and reported automatically, and that the only difference would be that whenever they have their taxes, they would have to pay or not pay, but it all depends on every individual situation. So you just answer these questions as the claimant prefers. And again, as I said yesterday, it is very important that even though it seems like a lot of information in some of the screens, it's very important that you read everything to the claimant. Okay, and this is just given kind of like a notice or a warning. So the alternate base year, you know how we talked yesterday about the base year, which is the first 4 of the last 5 completed quarters. The alternate base year comes into play if the person doesn't have enough wages or earnings in the first 4 of the last 5 completed quarters, then we will change their base year to see if they meet the eligibility, the monetary eligibility criteria during the immediately preceding last 4 completed calendar quarters. So if the person that is filing the claim today, we have that their regular base year is going to be from October of 2019 through September of 2020. The alternate base year, if they don't meet the monetary requirements during that time, we will see if they meet the monetary requirements from January of 2020 through December of 2020, because those are the immediately last 4 completed quarters. And this information in here is just letting them know that you please read the information to the claimant and click continue. Okay, and this is the Rely card information. It's important that you also read this information to the claimant. You can also, what you can do is you can save this, so kind of download it and send it to the claimant. That's up to you. But it's important that we make sure that the claimant has access to that information. And again, we will read all this information to the claimant and ask them if they agree. And click continue. And we will read this, and we can also let them know what happens next, and that they have to start claiming weeks of benefits. So if they file the claim today, then this is the first week that they can claim unemployment benefits. So on Sunday, they will claim for this week. And again, we will read the information, all this information to the claimant. If you want to send them the claimant handbook, or you can just let them know where to find it. It is in our website. You just need to enter in the search bar that I showed you yesterday, just enter claimant handbook, and you will get a link to the claimant handbook. And it's the claimant's responsibility to access that information. If they want it, also they can contact us, preferably through the contact us form, or contact their WorkSource center. But I think the best option would be through our contact us form. And here is the confirmation number. You, it would be good that you provide this information to the claimant every time that you file a claim for them. and let them know that the claim is effective as of the Sunday of this week. So this is, again, the first week that they can claim unemployment benefits, and then they would claim for this week. They would file the weekly claim on Sunday. And again, you read all this information to the claimant, and if they want a summary of their application, so if they say, oh, but how do I know that the application was submitted or whatever, you can just click on view summary and print this page to PDF, save, and send it to the claimant. Okay, and that's it for the initial claim. Do we have any questions on the initial claim for regular UI?
Sulimar, so Juan asked if as part of assisting with unemployment, the application of unemployment, would they also help clients with the iMatch completion?
Yeah, as you could help them with that, with the iMatch registration. I really don't know if we are back to requiring that, because we, since we had all this COVID-19 situation, we did stop that for a while. We did stop requiring that for a while, but I heard that we were going to be back into requiring the iMatch registration, but I don't know as of what date. So what I'm going to do in our next meeting, I will get you that information so you can pass it on to our partners.
Thank you, Sulimar.
Okay. All right. So now we're gonna see how how we file for a weekly claim. Oh, let me go back a little bit slower. So we are on the online claim system. We're going to select the regular UI weekly claim option. And let me show you in here. Where was it? Research, initial, weekly, oh, pandemic. Okay, I thought I had a step guide for that one. But anyway, so we will click, there's some additional, there's some information in here that we will read to the claimant, and then click continue. And we will read this information to the claimant and click continue. Again. And now we're going to enter the claimant's social security number. Okay. All right. So to answer these questions, we have in here the a quick link to our frequently asked questions, and this is intended to assist when filing the application. I'm going to contact our communications department to see if we can fix this link, because it's not getting us to where we want to be, and I apologize for that. Let me make a note in here. Okay. So in here, we are being asked if the person failed to accept an offer of work. And so again, we will take into consideration the COVID-19 situation. So if the person did not accept an offer of work because they were unable to work, because they were ill with the with COVID-19, then we will select no. That doesn't count as failing to accept an offer of work. If they were unable to work because they were potentially exposed to COVID-19 and have been in quarantine and they refused an offer of work because of that, we're going to say no to this question. We're going to answer no to this question. If they were unable to work because they were advised by a healthcare provider that they should self-quarantine due to a possibility for exposure to COVID-19 or spread of COVID-19, they refused to accept an offer of work because of that reason, we will answer no to this question. If they were staying at home following a stay-at-home order, or taking care of a family member or other member of their family that lived with them, and they were providing care for the person that was experiencing COVID-19 or COVID-19 related symptoms, they are going and they refuse to accept work because of that, we're going to answer no to this question. And also, if they were being asked to work in violation of a mandatory quarantine order by the governor or a government official, and they refused to go to work or to accept an offer of work because of that reason, then again, we will answer no to this question. The second question would be if they quit a job during last week, and if you will answer accordingly. Now, if the person quit a job because of one of the COVID-19 related situations I just mentioned and that are on our temporary rules, then the answer to the question would be no. If they were fired or suspended from a job during last week, we will answer here accordingly. Now, if the person has been discharged because of one of the COVID-19 related situation I just mentioned, then the answer to this question is going to be no. Now they're being asked if they were away from their permanent residence for more than 3 days. So if they live here in Oregon and they traveled to California and stayed there from Sunday through Thursday of last week, then they would answer yes to this question because they were away from their permanent residence for more than 3 days. Otherwise, they would answer no. And then were you physically able and mentally able to perform the work you saw last week? We will ask that question to the claimant, and it's just simply wanting to know if they were able to perform the work. Obviously, if we are under this COVID-19 situation, our work search requirements are currently waived. They do not have to expose themselves in looking for work. So the answer to this question, because usually they get confused and say, oh no, well, I wasn't looking for work because I'm at high risk population and I have been advised to quarantine. Well, in that case, the answer to this question is still going to be yes, if the person is able to perform the work and willing to work once the COVID-19 emergency situation is over. And then each day of last week, were you willing to work and capable of accepting and reporting for full-time, part-time, and temporary work? And again, this is wanting to know their willingness to work once the COVID-19 emergency situation is over. So if they are willing to work and capable of accepting and reporting for full-time, part-time, and temporary work once the emergency situation is over, then we will answer yes to this question. Now in here, there's a note. So if you are seeking work, and this is in regards to the job seeking situation and actively looking for work, that's one of the requirements for our program. So if you are seeking work, or if you will return to your employer or are willing to look for work when the state and local emergency declarations related to the coronavirus expire or otherwise are no longer in effect. So they will be considered actively seeking work if they meet this statement over here. So in this case, we're gonna say yes. And if they mark yes to this question, we will select mark yes on the temporarily unemployed option down here. And this is important. And it doesn't matter what it says down here, we will select that option. Okay. And did you work last week, or did you receive or will receive vacation or holiday pay for the week? So this question is important because sometimes when the employers are laid off, we have that the employers are paying some vacation time or holiday time. So we do, if a person didn't work during last week and they received, let's say 25 hours of vacation pay, they need to report that amount on their weekly claim. And that is very, very important. So in this case, we're gonna say no. And also, like, if they were hired for a new job and they worked 20 hours last week, they need to report those earnings even if they haven't received pay, because for reporting earnings for unemployment insurance, it is in the week that the job was performed, not when the payment was received. Okay, and if they worked, we will enter the amount of hours and the amount of money they received. Okay, and in here, we do not have to fill out this information because we marked in here the temporarily unemployed box before, and that allows us to bypass this information. If the person is a member of a closed union, we will select this option, but it is not common. You will anyway ask the question to them, read the statement and see if it applies to them, but it's not very common that we will get this. And now once we're done with the questions, we will just click continue. And there was a problem with my entry. Let me see. You did not, oh, that's why. It's because I selected no and then I entered some information in here. Let me delete that and continue. And then in the next screen, you will be asked to review the information. Just make sure that everything looks correct and click verify. You can return to make corrections if something is wrong. Okay. And in here, the claimant will be able to see the weekly claim status using the online claim system, but they have to wait about 30 minutes. They can, you will want to just read this information if they want to change their direct deposit or enroll in direct deposit. They can do that using our online claim system. And here are some links for general information. So once we're done, we just click exit. Okay. And let me go. Okay. All right. Do we have any questions so far on the weekly claim?
Sulima, I have a question. If somebody's temporarily unemployed and is receiving some type of compensation for being unemployed, like, I don't know, long-term disability that the employer offers, could they still qualify for benefits?
It will depend on the type of pay that they are receiving. If it's temporarily unemployed, they do need to report the amounts that they are receiving from the employer. If they were permanently laid off, so the employer didn't give them an expectation to return to work anytime in the future, then the payment that they received, what we call the severance pay, which is the whatever hours they had vacation and any sick time, they do not need to report that. But that's only if they were permanently laid off.
Oh,
But if they are, if there's still a relationship with that employer, they do need to report the amounts that they receive for vacation, holiday pay, and sick pay.
okay, thank you. And Federico is asking, what about people who got denied last year because they made a mistake answering the questions on the applications? Can they still claim those benefits even if they are current unemployed?
Well, yes. So for those people, they would need to contact us to get the claim straightened up. So if they were denied because of an error, they can contact us using the contact us form. We will contact them back, or appropriate staff is going to contact them back and then see where was the mistake. If, for example, they were denied because they selected that they refused to work accidentally on a week or many weeks, then a staff member can correct that information in the system.
Thank
and
you.
still, yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead. And
no, that since benefits, I'm sorry, just one thing. So since benefits are retroactive, also, again, if they missed claiming for 1 week or something, we can still get that information into the system. So, yes.
even if that happened last year?
Yes.
Okay. And Emilio is asking, if I am working in Vancouver, Washington, and I am laid off because of any reason, but I live in Portland, Oregon, do I need to make my claim in Washington State?
It depends on where the work was performed. So for unemployment, the employers have to report the unemployment insurance taxes in the state where the work is performed. in the majority of the cases, there are some things that happen. So if this person performed the majority of the work in Oregon, let's say they work in both in Oregon and in Washington, but they performed the majority of the work in Oregon, we would advise that they file the claim in Oregon. Now, in specifically with people that have worked in Washington, Washington benefits are higher than those in Oregon. So if they have a combined wage claim, that's when they have wages in more than one state, I would advise them to file the claim in Washington because there is a very high possibility that they would get a higher weekly benefit amount in Washington than in Oregon.
Okay, thank you. And Juan is asking, so if a person is submitting a weekly claim and then either goes back to his or her employer or finds new employment, would it be easier to stop claiming a weekly, or is there a step for that?
Okay. Could you repeat the question?
Sure.
Make sure I'm understanding.
So if a person is submitting a weekly claim and then either goes back to his or her employer or finds a new job, would it be easier to stop claiming weekly, or is there another step to do that?
So the key here is if the person is still unemployed. And we said that a person is considered to be unemployed if they work less than 40 hours and earn less than the amount, their weekly benefit amount. So if this person started a new job, but it still is not working 40 hours and has been earning less than their weekly benefit amount, this person wants to continue to claim benefits every week because they may get a reduced amount of benefits, but still get benefits. Now, if the person is working 40 hours or earning more than their weekly benefit amount, then they just stop claiming. And if they become unemployed again in any week in the future, then they just need to restart the claim and start claiming benefits again.
So my understanding is, this is just an example. If somebody's their weekly benefit is 300, but during that week work maybe a couple days, and their total amount of the gross income for that week was 500. So that will put them over the weekly amount. So in that case, should they still claim for that week or not? Because since their income is higher than the weekly benefit, or should just not do the application?
Yeah.
I mean, the weekly claim for that week.
Yeah, well, in that case, they wouldn't be paid benefits. They wouldn't qualify for benefits because it's over the weekly benefit amount anyway.
I see.
So yeah, in the only, and this is, so it's important to make a note in here that this is for regular regular claims where they already received the wages that are being used for their initial claim, and there's no possibility for a higher weekly benefit amount because everything looks the way it should. Okay, so if we're talking about PUA claims where they are still waiting on a review of their weekly benefit amount, we do want those claimants to still claim for the weeks of benefits even if they earn more than the 205, because it may be that once the weekly benefit amount is recalculated, they may, that week may qualify. They may be getting more, let's say right now they are in 205 for the PUA weekly claim, but once the amount is reviewed, they can get 505, and then if they earned 500 a week, they could still get some benefits.
So should people apply first for regular unemployment benefits and the PUA?
Well, if they qualify for regular unemployment benefits, they will not qualify for PUA. The only way that a person that received at some point regular unemployment benefits could get PUA is if they have exhausted regular benefits, PEUC, extended benefits, and now they were on PUA. But there's no way to qualify for both programs at the same time.
Thank you. And somebody from UNETE is asking, in the case where they want to be receiving a benefit because of excess income for that week, if they miss a week of reporting, do they need to restart their claim? That has been confusing for many folks. They got notices that says they need to reapply. If you have any suggestions. So my understanding the question is
So
that
if the person,
if they miss maybe 1 or 2 weeks, or they didn't do their weekly claim, should they continue claiming, or do they need to restart new claim?
okay. So the claim will ask for a restart if they skip claiming for a week, if they, for a week or more, or if they claim for the week and they earn more than their weekly benefit amount, or earned 40 hours or worked 40 hours. So even if they apply for the week and they said that they earn more than their weekly benefit amount, the system will still ask them to restart the claim after that. Because the system, remember that as we talked yesterday, the whole thing with the restart is that the system needs to capture the employment history for the person. So the system wants to know who this person was working for and how much they earned, how much they worked, and how much they earned while working for this employer. So that's why the system will still ask them to restart the claim.
Thank you, Sulimar. Is any one of you, do any one of you have any questions? So you can ask Sulimar, or you can type your questions. I think we still have time, right?
Yes, I also wanted to go through the restart here claim option very quick in the couple of minutes that we have. I don't think we're going to be able to go through the PUA application, so we will have to schedule another meeting to go through that one, because that one is pretty long and takes a lot of time. So yeah, we will have to schedule another meeting. Now for the restart, let me go back here. We will select the restart your claim option and important. And here, and it is in the presentation from yesterday, and it's in here. There is no need to restart a claim for pandemic unemployment assistance. This is only for regular unemployment insurance claim. And this also accounts for PEUC. They would need, since the PEUC claim is actually an extension of a regular claim, if they skip claiming for a week or more, they will have to restart the claim as well. Okay, so we will read this information to the claimant and click continue, enter the claimant social. Enter the PIN. Okay, and now in here, when we're restarting the claim for the claimant, the system will give us the last date that the claim was restarted. And it's going to ask for their employment activity since the last time that the claim was restarted or when the claim was opened. So we have that this, for this social, the claim was last restarted on January 16 of 2021. So we want to know, since January 16 of 2021, have they worked for the federal government? Have they served in the military? Have they been self-employed? Have they worked for more than 2 employers? And have they been attending to an apprenticeship training? We will answer and click continue. And now we want to know if they have worked since the week ending on January 16, 2021. If they just stopped claiming benefits because they forgot to claim or for whatever other reason, but they have not worked, we will select no. If they stop claiming because they were working, then we will say yes. And now we're being asked if during the week from January 31st through February 6th, so last week, it's always going to ask for last week, if they had gross earnings, so earnings before any deductions, of $350 or more. And then we will answer whatever they say. And if during the week from, during last week, if they worked 40 hours or more. And let's say just no. Okay, and now we will enter the employer name and the city. And we will be given this menu. We can see if the claimant's employer is within this list, or maybe since you're having the claimant over the phone, it would probably be, depending on how many records are in here, it may be better for you to click that the employer is not listed and then input the information manually. You can ask the full name of the employer and the address beforehand, so you can see if you can select from this list of options. If you select one of them, it's just going to display the information. What's going on? Oh, wait. Oh, continue. Was clicking the wrong option. Okay, so when you select one of the records, it will fill the information for you. If you click that the employer is not listed, let me see if I can go back to show that option. When we click that the employer is not listed, it is then going to ask to input that information. Okay, and we will enter the employer's phone number. And when the claimant started working for this employer, and the end date. And again, this, if they have been working for the same employer on and off, in the start date, we want to know since the last time that they reopened the claim. So since January 16, when was the first day that they went back to work for this employer? And when was the last day that they worked for the employer? Okay, and how much they earned during this period of time, not during the whole time that they have been working for the employer necessarily. It's just since the last time that they reopened the claim. Okay, what was their job title?
And Silmar, real quick,
And
we have the start date as January 1st. So should it be January 16th, for example, or 17th?
16, yes. Thank you.
No problem.
Yes. Yeah, and that is very important as well. Thank you, Teresa, for that. So again, since the date is being asked for the time since they last reopened their claim, and the system told us that they last reopened their claim on January 16. We will enter a date either that same date where they last reopened the claim or after. And that's very important. Thank you. Okay. And their pay rate. And we will answer if they are separated from the employer. So if they are still working for the employer, but on and off, we are going to say that no, they are not separated from the employer. And select why is it that they're restarting their claim. In this case would be that they are still working, but that the hours have been cut. Now, if the employer decided to permanently lay them off and say like, I cannot continue to provide work for you, I have no more work available for you, and I don't know when the work will be available, then we are going to say yes, that they are separated from this employer and that they are laid off due to a permanent lack of work. In this case, we have that the person is still working. And again, in here, if they are temporarily laid off or unemployed, so the employer laid them off and said, you will be back in a couple of weeks. We still, because of the COVID-19 emergency situation, we don't want to enter a date in here because this will prompt a stop in the claim after that date, because the system will interpret that the claimant is back to work, and then staff will have to go there and inactivate those. So it's important that for now, while we are in the emergency situation, we do not enter any information in here. Okay, and then we check that the information is correct, that we have the name of the business, the employer's address, phone number, and all the information. And if we need to go back to make any corrections, we click here. Otherwise, we click continue. If the person worked for another employer, we will select yes, and then do the same thing for the other employer. Otherwise, we select no, and then click continue. We will read all this information to the claimant and then click submit. And that's, we read this information in here. It does provide some additional general information about unemployment insurance to the claimant. And then we click exit. Now, it is important that after the claim has been restarted, the claimants need to claim the week of benefits. Okay, so this does not claim or place a claim in the system for the week. This just restarts the claim, but they still need to claim the week of benefits. So once you restart, if it was for this week, you need to, so since we restarted for this week, then you need to advise the claimant that they need to claim this week on Sunday. All right, and we will not have the time to go through the PUA application. And again, I will contact Lucy and Kelsey to schedule another time for the PUA application. I'll do my best so we can have it this week. If not, then we're gonna have to do it next week, but I will really do my best to try to fit it in to my schedule. Do we have any final questions? All right. I will stop sharing my screen now.
Thank you everyone for coming to the training. And if you have any questions, just send us to